Hi guys, this is Devasis. So today we are going to discuss about uh, how to create a .NET Core application. So this is basically the continuation of previous video .NET Core tutorial part 1. So this is part 2 of .NET Core tutorial. So let's get started. So when you will create a .NET Core application, you will get a project file extension CS Pros or VB Pros based on the programming language you choose. If you choose C Sharp, then it will be a CS Pros. If you choose VB, then it will be a VB Pros. In .NET Core application, if you want to edit any project file, you don't have to really unload it. Like if you have a prior experience in .NET, you have to unload the project file first before you edit any project file, right? So here you don't have to do that. You just click on the project file and you can edit it. We'll see that in practical. So for now you just understand, yes, we can edit it directly without unloading the project. The next important thing is when you are going to add any files or folder, then you don't have to or there will not be any references is going to add in the project file, right? So previously when we were adding any project file or we were adding any files or folders, then at the time project files was getting updated or was getting modified. But here in this case in .NET Core, you don't here there is no reference or there will not be any reference of files or folders you are going to add in your project file. So this is the file system which determines what files and folders belong to that project. So let's get started. I'll show you in practical how to do it. So let's create a .NET Core application from the scratch. So let's open a new instance of Visual Studio 2019 and click on this create new. You can go ahead and choose your .NET Core template here from here. So let's see. Let's let it load. Okay, so it got loaded. So these are the template. As I told you, like you can use .NET Core application in C Sharp. So I'm choosing a C Sharp and click on next. So here you can give your folder location. Okay, this is my folder location. I'm going to put and give a folder name or give a project file name. My first .NET Core app. Okay, simply create next. Click on next and here you can choose whether you want to enable HTTPS or configure HTTPS or not. For the time being, let it be, and I can enable the Docker also. For that, you have to install Docker for desktop in your local machine. Okay, so we will discuss all about these in our future videos or future tutorial. So for the time being, let's choose .NET Core 3.1 for now instead of .NET 5. So let the Docker enable and create the application. Okay, click on create. So it is going to create. It will take some time, few seconds to create. Okay, yes, it got created. So if you see, I am not doing anything. I'm simply selecting IIS Express. Okay, okay, and click on run. Okay, you can see it is running now. Okay, it ran. So this is simple .NET Core application we created. For example, I want to create a .NET Core API instead of web. So let's for that API endpoint, I don't need any pages. So let me delete that. Double will learn about all these folder structures. So double root. I don't need any CSS JavaScript file, and I don't need any static file. So I'll remove it. And now what I will do in startup class, so that I will explain everything. So for the timing, let's create a .NET Core API and remove this one. Right. services dot add MVC. Okay, and here let's write map controls. Okay, okay, cool. So I don't need any exception handling here, nothing. I don't need anything else. So let me comment it out. I don't need authorization, so save, and let me add a controller. Okay, right click on the project file, add folder. Let's add a folder first. uh, Name it controllers, and add a controller here. Right click on the folder, add controller. Here this is the unified programming model, that I unified model where you can create your controller and API in uh, one application. See, anything you can choose, right? So for example, I am choosing API and .NET Core API controller with read and write action. I choose, then I click on add. So let it be the values controller. Okay, controller is being added. Okay, so let's quickly test it. Okay, so run this application. Hopefully it will run. There will not be an issue. Okay, it is running. So now I'm going to put the endpoint, write API slash values. Okay, slash API slash values endpoint. It will give me all the values. Yes, it is working. So this is a simple application. So if I'm going to tell you uh, how what I mean by unified programming model. So unified model. So here you can see previously we saw what are the advantage, one programming model for MVC and web API. So let's see that how it is one programming model. Let me stop the application. I'll show to you, like, okay, I have to click on add and add controller, and here let this time create a MVC controller. If I'm going to add, let it be home controller. Okay, home controller is being added. So you can see this is a inheriting from controller class, and if you see API is in from controller base class, and if you see this controller, it is also inheriting from controller base class in within it. If we'll go to the definition, you'll see this is the same controller base class which is being implemented by values controller. So this is how why we discussed like one programming model for MVC and Web API. Okay, that's all. So let me do one, let me delete for this home controller for the time being, and definitely we can run it and we can test it in Postman also. You can see, let it run. Okay, it's running. So let me go ahead and send the request. Okay, slash API slash values, getting it. So copy this and paste here and send it. Yes, I'm getting it. Okay, so let's come to our notes. Okay, so that's all about okay, this project file, as we discussed, right? So if I'll go to our application, you can see I can directly delete or directly edit the project file. I don't have to unload this. When I'm clicking this, right, it's directly opening our project file. See, and if you'll see closely, I already opened another instance of Visual Studio where I created MVC application. If I'm clicking on this project file, I'm not able to open that project file, so to edit it. If for that, what I have to do, I have to right click on it and unload the project file. Then only I can edit it and save it. Okay, and for that again I have to reload. So that thing is not there again. If I'm going to add any project or any folder, right? So if I'm going to okay, let me add a folder here, or I'll add any file, for example. Here I'm adding a file. I'm trying to unload the project this time. It will ask me to save the changes in the project file. Why it is asking this? Because I added the folder or files into this project. If I'll do the same thing here in .NET Core, let me do one thing. Let me close this project file and directly coming to my downloads. Okay, so here let me drag this to my project, my first .NET Core app, and this time you'll see there is nothing happened. Nothing happened to our project file. Okay, there is no references even though I added it. If I'm going to delete it, this is not going to do anything, right? So there is no modification. I can close it. It will not ask for any do anything to save. Okay, so that's all about the folder addition of folder reference. So let's come to the next point or next slide, where we are going to learn about the project file. Okay, in project file there are three important sections. One is the target framework, which will specify the which target framework for the application you are running. Then to specify the target framework, we are using TMF, that is target framework moniker. This is the format how it will be net core app 2.1 or 2.2 or 3.1 for .NET Core. For .NET Framework it will be net. So if you'll see closely our project folder, right, or project file. So let me open my project file. There will be something called target framework. We are using .NET Core, so it will be net core app 3.1. So, right, that is .NET. That is target framework moniker format. So if you'll see the next important thing, that is ASP.NET Core hosting model. If it is not there, then it is by default auto process hosting. So we'll discuss about what is in process hosting and auto process hosting. So it is specifies the application should be hosted in process or auto process. So we'll discuss in detail like what is in process hosting and auto process hosting in the next video. The time being, you just understand like in process hosting model means it will host your application inside a worker process, that is IIS worker process double thread double p.exe. In case of auto process hosting, if you that we want to use, that is auto process hosting model, means it will forward a web request to a backend ASP.NET Core application running the Kestrel server. So it will basically forward the request, right? So next is the package reference, that we have like whatever packages we installed from NuGet, right? That reference will be there. So if you see here closely, it will be there. See. So next thing, let's learn about main method. So we have a main method, right? So let me come to the PowerPoint. Okay, what is the main method? So if you see, if you have prior experience with .NET, you know a console application has a main method, and that is the entry point for that console application. But in this .NET Core web application or API, why we need main method? So an ASP.NET Core application, for your information, initially start as a console application, and the main method is in program.cs file is the entry point for that. So this main method configures the ASP.NET Core and starts it, and at that point it becomes an ASP.NET Core web application. So if we'll see our solution explorer, how our program.cs looks like, it will be looks like this. So what is the job of program.cs file here? So it is creating your host builder. Okay, creating the host. So with the help of this create default builder, and here it is using the startup class as this class. It is not mandatory like the startup class name should be startup class. You can name it xyz or z or anything, but that you have to configure in the program.cs file. Use startup xyz or something. but it's a convenient or convention in startup class we should give it. So what is the startup class? Definitely, startup class is responsible to uh, do if you have to do any dependency injection, if you have to do authentication, authorization, if you want to do logging, exception handling, everything you can do here. So it's basically contain two method. One is configure service, another is configure method. So configure service method is responsible to do dependency injection, add authentication, authorization, and configure method is used to do or handle exception, or if you want to add middleware component, right? So that you can add here. So what is middleware component basically? So if you'll see, the middleware component is nothing but a software which is injected into the application pipeline to handle request and response. They are just like chained to each other and form as a pipeline, right? So the incoming requests are passed through the this pipeline where all the middleware are configured, and middleware can perform same action on the request before passes to the next middleware. So same as for the response, so they are also passing through the middleware but in the reverse order. So that's all about this video. So we learn about the like how we created .NET Core application and what is program.ca startup class, and how we are creating .NET Core and how we are testing through Postman. So no need to go through in detail. I will tell you whatever the things needed, and to know to start a project from scratch. So we will create application in future from scratch using .NET Core API as a backend API, and Angular as a UI or front end. So for that perspective, whatever things need to know, I'm going to explain you. So here the most important thing, applications such a app setting chart JSON file. So like web.config, we don't have here objet.config. Here we have app settings JSON, and this is logging configuration. As we know, logging is coming as a by default or provided by .NET Core application or .NET Core out of the box, so we don't have to do anything. So here that we can extend logging as per our requirement, that we will see in future video. But here you can mention your configuration. Like in web.config, we can transform our web.config, and we can have many version of web.config, like a production version, or if you want to maintain any QA or test or end version, so that you can maintain. So here also you have app settings development for our development. Similarly, we'll have the app settings.qa.json, app settings.prod.json, app settings.int.json, or test.json based on your environment. So here we have Docker support also. So this will be helping in a Dockerization of our application. So it is mostly used in our microservice architecture or microservice development. So we'll learn about all those. For that, so that's all about today's video. If you like this video, then give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe to our channel. That's all from this video part 2. Thanks for watching.